Somebody might mute it.
Yes. What's up, guys? And welcome back to No Collar Entertainment. This is Matt.
Yes, we're muted?
No.
Okay.
Why would I be doing it?
I don't know. You said yes. That's why that's what this is area.
Well, because I wanted to do it first because you keep stealing it from me.
And this is
doing
Juice.
It too slow. That's why. And we're back discussing
And
another.
Yeah, we're back on Side Chick Wednesday!
It is Wednesday, Side Chick Wednesday.
And we're back discussing movies based on the Wheel of Destiny. This week's pick was Gone with the Wind.
Hence the late stream tonight.
The
Because-
1940 or 1939.
1939.
Well, from 1939, but it won the Best Picture for whatever that year's Oscars was.
It would be
beating out-
1940.
Beating out Wizard of Oz, as a matter of fact.
And that is the reason for the late stream tonight for anyone who's here live. Because it is a 3-hour and 40-minute movie.
God.
That's only including the time that it takes for the intro.
7 minutes.
Yeah.
3 hours and 33-minute movie.
Actually, I think it's maybe 5 minutes because there was a pre-intro.
Oh, that's right. You had the scroll.
No, not the scroll. There was the little introduction into the movie before.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that too.
So then it's a little bit, not by much, but
It's
still.
a 3.5 hour movie.
Yeah.
I see. Well, we actually just started. You didn't really miss anything.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, we're arguing over how long a fucking long movie was.
Right.
So we are discussing today Gone with the Wind, starring. Actually, maybe do you want to do the synopsis and the starring and the director?
Yeah, sure. So starring Vivian Lee, Clark Gable. God, I had her name. I knew her name. I just had it a second ago. The one who plays Melanie. But so those are the main characters.
I bet she's a descendant of Winona Ryder.
No,
You mean an ancestor?
I don't think she is. And she was one of the last surviving members of the cast. Actually, she passed away like 103 or something.
Okay.
Like that.
And what is the
So
plot?
it basically follows the character Scarlett O'Hara.
Katie Scarlett O'Hara.
Scarlett O'Hara is what she's mostly known for. Katie Scarlett, the name that her father really calls her.
Yeah.
Even though her name is Catherine. But Scarlett O'Hara, a Civil War plantation belle, basically, as she grows and like struggles through the actual Civil War and then of course the Reconstruction period afterwards and all the various tragedies that she experiences in the midst of war and in her struggle to survive. So that is probably the kindest, blandest way I can describe that film, because it's actually a lot of like different takes and like levels that go along with it. But that's basically what's happening, and at its
core in a nutshell.
It was directed by Victor Fleming.
Yes.
And written by Margaret Mitchell.
Well, that she wrote the book. Gone with the Wind.
Yes.
And
Screenplay by Sidney Howard.
There you go. Okay. So, this is my first time seeing this movie, and to be quite honest, I enjoyed it. It's very well. It's as far as the writing goes, I think it's well written to an extent. Again, my understanding of writing isn't that great, but I enjoyed it. To me, Clark Gable is the best part of this whole movie, to be honest, because he brings a lot of levity and a lot of his character is probably one of the characters I enjoy in a lot of movies that come out now, where he's kind of where he's an honest dick, essentially. Mm-hmm. He does not give a shit about anybody else's feelings. He does him, and he can call people on their bullshit. He's great.
Yeah, and I've always seen his kind of character as it's the only omniscient character. It's the only character that sees everything and knows everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's never wrong. But in this case, the third act really plays on the fact that he was wrong. And it's two characters. It's a story of two characters who fall in situationship.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not realizing they actually care about each other because of miscommunication and assuming they're right when they're both wrong.
think that's
which we'll go further into that.
okay.
But let's talk. So this movie, in its natural form, is divided into 2 sections. You have your first half, then you have an intermission, then you have your second half.
And if you break
Well,
it
there's not
down,
really an intermission. It's just the first half. The intermission is cut out now.
but it-
No,
it's-
I
but-
know that. I'm
but
saying
but
that's
essentially,
why I said natural form.
Oh,
It's
okay,
first
sorry.
form. See, you just want to argue on
I
every
didn't
little point.
No, I didn't understand what you mean by natural form.
in its original
Original
form,
yeah.
So
it
let's
is broken.
discuss
It is broken down into 2
the
We
halves.
first
never
half.
discussed intermission. Yeah.
So let's discuss the first half.
So the first half is pre-war,
hmm
and
Well, it's the.
it's the lead up into the war.
Yeah.
No, the first half ends when she gets back to Terra.
Well, no,
after-
but I wasn't done.
No, it's not the first half. That's my point.
But
He's not
I'm not done.
done
Okay, go
speaking.
ahead.
You
Go ahead.
interrupted
The-
his sentence.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Go
So the first half starts pre-war,
Yeah.
going into the war,
Yes.
and then I believe and
All the way to the end.
all the way to the end of the war.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's like and that's an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half, and surprisingly, they like it's well paced, especially that first half. The first half. It moves along pretty quickly enough because they want to get to essentially they want to get to the war. You establish a fair amount of the characters fairly well. You establish Scarlet right away, Melanie, Ashley, Rhett,
Yeah.
and a lot of the support and a decent amount, well, and a fair amount of the supporting characters essentially as well. They do a good job of establishing them and telling us who these characters are and kind of where they're going to go. And then once we actually get into the thick of things with the war, that's when we really start seeing what these characters are and what they're kind of going to be going forward.
So my take on it has always been, and some of this is also informed a little bit by the book or musings about the book as well as discussions about the characters and what they represent. Obviously the story is following Scarlet and her development.
Yes.
But that's partially because while she's mainstays being the spoiled, messy bitch that she always kind of has been,
Mhm.
it's kind of the same way that, I mean, most people, their personalities are basically set, right? By the time they are honestly about 9 or 10. You're basically the same person you're going to be forever unless something awful fucking happens to you.
Right.
And to be fair, something awful happens to a lot of these people. They're living through the Civil War.
Yeah.
But
On the Confederate side.
Confederate side. She basically, her development, like the actions that she takes from that point forward, is how her personality would react to all of that. Instead of like, I guess basically the idea is that she becomes more hardened in her reaction to both, her parents dying, like her world being torn around her, all the future comforts that she had, that she got was hers, having to struggle for food and survival, possibly losing her, all of those stuff. That her reaction to that, in order to protect herself, is to make as much of a shell as possible, to make as much of a wall as she possibly can. She'd already had walls up. Whether we knew them or not. But that was basically like she always had like a facade because there's a certain amount of expectation in this world for her to act a certain way that she resents. And you can know that she resents that from like the very beginning of the movie. And so like from that point forward though, the only way she feels like she can be safe is to put those walls up. She's still growing behind them, which is why her relationship with Melanie, probably more than anything, is the one that evolves. But for the most part, none of the other characters honestly change.
No.
She's the only one who really kind of does. Rhett doesn't really change. Ashley never fucking changes. And Melanie is a constant as well.
Red has a pretty significant change,
How's
actually.
that? Well, I mean, when the daughter dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, heavy spoilers if we hadn't already said that.
Oh
before.
yeah.
All of these discussions
He's a
are
little
heavy
break.
spoilers,
I don't know
but
if I call that a growth.
No,
When I say change, I mean
I
growth.
would still say it was growth.
When I say
Growth
change,
came out of it again.
What growth?
But we're not talking about the second half right now. We're just talking about the first half.
I'm talking about the long-term view of things. Like I'm going from like one end, and this is how it ends up.
Okay,
basically.
then I guess
But-
I'll do my discussion of the first half then, since that's what we were talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
So, this movie, now watching it again, kind of plays out, and maybe because we just binged a bunch of it, it kind of plays out like a 2-part season finale on any hour-long TV show nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like the season finale of an HBO period piece.
Well, I may be about as long at this point.
Yeah. So the first, you get this character who is not very sympathetic at all, and is very hard to cheer for, at least for me. But you kind of get to know her as you go, and Clark Gable, like you said, carries this movie.
He does. He really does.
But
I
a
don't think he carries it, but okay.
special shout out to Hattie McDaniel as well.
Yes, of course.
The first African American nominated for and to win
No, yeah.
an
This
Oscar
movie.
For this movie.
Yeah.
Which
we'll get to as well.
She is phenomenal.
She's delightful in this
in
film.
this movie as well.
Again, she calls him like she sees him.
Yeah, and the acting is just strong in general. But she goes through, and you have foreshadowing in its own way when they talk about the dad jumping when he shouldn't be jumping, and that actually foreshadows two things.
They do a lot of that in this film.
Yeah,
all the way through.
Yeah, there's foreshadowing. There's all the classic cinema things. So this movie is starting to get a little dated for me. It's got some problematic shit in there that will make me think that this movie will be ostracized in 3 to 5 years or so.
Because there's other elements to the film. Obviously, we're going to talk about those things too, but the other stuff that also I think is important to recognize. Like the cinematography, like the use of lighting, like the use of character work, blah blah blah. Like I think all those
set pieces were amazing.
There's still there's a lot of reasons why this film, aside from people just wanting to just ignore the racism part, there are other reasons.
Just the racism.
What?
But we'll get into that.
Okay.
So let's get some structure into this because we are trying to make sure that this is concise and to the point because Ari has to go to work tomorrow and we start late tonight.
Yeah.
So let's start with the good. Okay, good, bad, ugly.
Do we do our second half now?
We'll do our out of 10 and then we'll spin the wheel.
Do you know what talk about the second half at all? Since you guys started with the first half and then you go to the second half?
Well, yeah.
No, I think we should. I'll try to go quick. The second half of the film, we are post-war, and it's the growth of
a businesswoman.
The growth of a businesswoman, but also the growth of the South, the restoration of the South post the Civil War. It's learning to adapt to the change now that according to them the Yankees have won and they are in the South. It's learning to adapt. It's learning to grow with the times. Essentially, I don't know if I would say it feels a little coming of age. I could be wrong.
The first half was definitely coming of age, and then you see kind of the consequences of this person that was created in these harsh conditions on the world, around them.
But essentially, but the second half I feel is it's not. I don't know if it's as strong as the first half, but it definitely feels as strong.
Yeah, I would disagree with you. I would say the second half is actually stronger than the first.
I think a lot. Obviously, a lot of it comes from there's a lot of character development in the second half, for sure. Especially from Scarlett. The relationship between Scarlett and Rhett is where it really comes together and also splits apart in the second half.
Yeah.
I love. Honestly, they have really good chemistry.
Yes.
Together,
yeah.
They really, really do. And man, I mean, I'm not sure what else that I know I can say about it. The pacing on the second half, still good. I never felt like it dragged. Although, because this is a 3-hour movie, it's just like, okay, where are we going? Are we almost done? But I never got. I was never bored.
Yeah.
With the movie as a whole, I was intrigued. Okay, where are we going? What's gonna happen? You know, where's this? Especially the messy nonsense in the second half.
Yes.
Now that everybody's essentially living together at one point or living near each other at one point. Scarlett's consistent infatuation with Ashley. Melanie just, oh God bless that sweet summer child that she is.
Being the best of everybody.
Yeah, being the best of everybody. Rhett, his undying love for Scarlett and wanting to take care of her, and her just still.
I don't know. I call him dying, but okay, because he leaves at the end. Right?
I mean, he does leave at the end after his daughter dies.
Yes, but no, after
his daughter dies.
After.
Yeah.
a bunch of shit happens.
Undying up to that point, but.
Well, and yeah, I mean, to sum it up for me, the second half, the first and second half of this movie is the perfect build up to a singular moment, which is what I'll pretty much go into in my guess conclusion that we'll do. So do you have anything to say about the second half?
Not about the second half. I have lots to say about the entire movie.
Yeah, strange movie podcast, basically.
Yep. So let's go with the good, and we'll start with you.
I can't. I have a lot to say. I'm not gonna just. This is not a good, bad, and ugly. You guys go ahead and say yours, and then I have mine.
Okay.
So you don't want a good, bad, and ugly. You just want to.
You just want to.
I have a few points that I've watched this movie now more than either of you because I've watched it on my own.
Okay. No, I know you have.
And
all right, so we'll do
as well.
good, bad, and ugly, and then Ari will start the conclusions, which is where you can go in your points and all that stuff, and just spew it out and let us know when you're done.
Gotcha.
So the good for you, Juice.
Okay. The good for me is the chemistry between the characters, or between the actors. Excuse me. The set pieces, the cinematography in certain elements. When the far shots, the far shot of the train yard with all of the injured soldiers, and the shot of nothing but the sunset background with the tree and Scarlett in the foreground just in shadow.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. The bad, I guess I'll get in. It something different. I think that might be it for me. On the good.
So on the good, like I said, it's a perfect build up to a singular moment. You see the title of the episode. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. It's not a big line. It's not like there's not a lot of oomph behind it if you just say it by itself. The whole reason that it's known as an iconic line and it's so memorable is because of the build-up. You have 3 hours and 30 minutes building up to this singular moment where Rhett is really playing this cat and mouse game with Scarlett to basically get her to fall in love with him. And now, after 3 hours of watching this cat and mouse game and waiting for them to actually fall in love with each other, he just quits and leaves. And it's this holy shit.
That way, it makes it sound like a real dick, actually.
But when you break it down,
no, I know, but that's a terrible way of looking at it.
It's what happens, though. The set pieces, like you said, are absolutely gorgeous. The set pieces are gorgeous. No, it's them. No,
that's part of my take.
Leading each other on.
No, that's part of my take. Go ahead.
Okay. So, set pieces are amazing. They're beautiful. The acting was phenomenal. Clark Gable, like you said, carries this movie. Hattie McDaniels carries some scenes. And when you put them together, there's some of the funnest moments of the entire movie.
I take super issue with saying he carries the film, but okay.
Vivian Lee does okay. She plays her part very well, but she's not likable.
I think that's the point.
She's an unlikable protagonist.
And I understand that, and I have some ideas about that.
And we will go over that. So the bad for you.
the bad for me. For me, it's just that it's dated.
Yeah.
There are moments where, because of the time that this movie is from, I get kind of taken out of it because I can see the background changes or the what would be the green screen.
Oh yeah, there was a very specific one when Red and Scarlet are in the carriage.
There's that when they're in the carriage. There was the scene when Ashley is coming back from the war.
I never understood why they had them do that.
I can't understand. I can't understand it either. I don't understand. They could that. I feel like because you have the actors on set.
You literally
or
have
not even on
from
set
each other or something. Yeah,
you're on location. You're on location and you're shooting it. Now, mind you, maybe they used a double for Ashley, coming down the walkway. They might. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe it was a second unit.
Yes.
But yeah, no, that if you had the actors on location, and I mean, considering all the filming's done in California anyway, or maybe just California, United States, whatever. You're on location. Just use the location. I mean, use the location shot. You're already there, and then you still there's cuts back and forth. I think that's another thing. I think some of the direction in this movie is questionable. In terms, for me, it's that. There might be others, but I can't think of any right now.
I would love to hear your ideas of what you think was questionable direction. In terms of I'm thinking also there's different schools of theory or whatever of doing acting and directing based on the time which you was.
No. There was. I think it was more so just in
editing.
Okay, so then that's
is that what it
might be
editing. Sure,
it could be. Then it could be the editing.
They're not directing the actors themselves.
Yeah, no. It's then in that case, yes. Then it would be the editing. I think the editing was bad. It could be for the time, but again, the carriage scene I kind of get, but at the same time.
That is technology. They're not going to be able to get the whole scene with everybody.
Exactly, and that's fine. But at least that one far off scene, there is that. And that's kind of it for me.
The only bad for me is it's 3 hours and 40 minutes long. There are scenes that I could cut out of this movie and I'd be fine.
Okay.
Like what?
As soon as he walks out into the fog, I'd end the movie.
As soon as he walks out. Instead of...
I don't need the collage of voices from the past Jedi Masters telling her to go back to Terra.
Yeah, we don't need...
I don't need the final shot.
The whole line, the whole tomorrow's another day.
Here's the final shot of the...
That's the whole
first intermission. I don't need it, though. I could cut all that out and still have just as good of a movie.
Needs it.
But this is my opinion. Are we talking about our opinions on the movie, or are we talking about...
No, I understand you don't need it, but I'm just letting you know the film still needs it, though.
Maybe. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think it would take away. And I hate that line. I hate that ending line. I hate it. Tomorrow's another day. I hate it.
That's also an iconic line as well.
I don't like it.
I understand if you don't like it, but that's how that's the film was following. Is the idea of constantly hoping for tomorrow, also always looking for tomorrow. I can't focus on today, so I'm gonna think about tomorrow. Like I'll deal with it tomorrow. I'm not gonna deal with it right now. I don't have to. I have that privilege.
It just seems to insist upon itself. That's my only bad. Anything ugly for you, Juice?
Ugly? Not really.
The only ugly I have is problematic issues.
Yes.
But for the time, it's what was happening.
Yeah.
And they're in the South, and they're on the Confederate side.
Well,
so racism-wise, it doesn't bother me as much because this is what happened.
It's a period piece.
We don't do revision. I don't like revisionist history. I don't like to sugarcoat history.
No, and it shouldn't be.
I want it to be real if you're going to fucking do it, and this is real.
Well, it's still from a white perspective for the most part. And so when we talk about the slaves, or they say people who are running off and so forth and so on, like we're not getting their perspective as to why they chose to run and not stay. We don't really get the other characters who stick around their perspective, but presumably the idea is that they find more benefit in staying, and they do seem to have obviously some loyalty and care for the family compared to maybe other ones who are
just wait. In the next 5 years there will be a Hattie movie.
And I would love. Actually, you know what? Honestly, I was thinking about this. One of the things I thought would have been interesting, which I'll never see, would be a take on the journey that those three women have to take from, like, collapsing to Atlanta to Terra. Now it's probably only maybe like a few days journey.
Yeah.
While they're hiding from various stragglers and the armies and like struggling through like the heat.
Well, I think that
through...
one scene of them
is
hiding under
really
the bridge
good.
is really all you need
Hey,
to kind of break it down.
I need, honestly.
what
But I
they
think
go
it'd be
through.
interesting though to know
No,
more.
it would
You
be,
probably
it would
find
be.
out more if you read the book.
And then, of course, intimidation into marital rape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or whatever you want to call it. But honestly, it immediately cuts to Scarlet B, the happiest probably we've seen her since the opening of the movie.
So I actually do want to comment on that because I like now as a millennial living in 2024, watching that scene, you know, you see it and I see it and I'm like, oh, that's wrong, that's bad, and then the next scene it's like, oh, she got that good D, so now she's happy.
Well, and so for me, the problematic part of it is not so much what they show; it's what that in terms of like, oh, like rape or whatever, rape or whatever. You know, those are terms that they're using. It's the trend within Hollywood to oftentimes dismiss whatever issues women have with regards to, you know, coercion or whatever, sexual assault, so forth and so on, and like, oh no, it's okay because she enjoyed it. That sort of tradition, like that is going to happen.
But I would argue, in this case, even though I put it on my ugly list, I put it on my ugly list because I'm trying to be aware of everybody else.
Yeah.
However, and I understand your point, but again, this movie's about build-up. And if you look at the evidence throughout the movie of their relationship and their cat and mouse games, is it really marital rape for them? Is it really?
She's clearly struggling with him while he drives her upstairs.
But that's been the game they've played.
Does that mean that
has been the game they've played from the start of the movie.
And that is so problematic too. He is pursuing her.
Their whole relationship's problematic.
Yes.
Yes, it's not a healthy relationship. But I am not going to attack him for playing the part of the relationship that they've been playing this whole time.
Well,
their first kiss, he has to force it on her.
Then you're not going to attack him for that? Like, that's kind of...
No, because that was her point. That's what she was doing.
What are you talking about?
With Ashley.
She literally just went to the...
She was forcing her... She was trying to force herself on him as well.
Yes, she was.
And a scene or two before that, or before that Rhett forced the kiss, she tried to extort him for $300 in jail by flirting with him.
This does not mean that it makes any of that okay.
It doesn't make any of it okay.
Okay, so we're clear.
They're all wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I'm not going to do is vilify Rhett. I'll vilify both of them.
Okay.
For the relationship and what was going on.
I would vilify
and say that was wrong, but I'm not going to vilify Rhett.
I'm going to vilify... I would, if I'm going to vilify anybody, I would vilify Rhett for the part that he plays with his relationship with Scarlet in terms of the way that you were describing it, cat and mouse game. Cat and mouse implies a certain amount of power differential.
And if you think
let me finish.
Oh, you just cut me off 15 times so far, but go ahead.
Let me finish. The idea is that if they're the power, and I'm not letting her off the hook. Mm-hmm. Okay, and what I'm saying is that if we're talking about in terms of in the confines of their relationship, there is obviously some problematic elements, and I still put more of that on him because in this world of 1860 whatever, the guy still has the majority of the power. He is older than her. For the most part of the movie, he has more money than her, and he is consistently pursuing her against her at least stated, protestations. And so there is absolutely a power differential. So when all of a sudden, like, she's like, yeah, you know what, I may as well. Then it's like, oh, okay, well now we're equal. Like, kinda.
No, and this is where I would argue with you.
Okay, go ahead.
Because there is... Red is not in power the whole movie. There's a point where she is a wealthy businesswoman and he's in jail.
I did not say a power differential.
Well, no, because she
Ghost him while
she
he's in
hasn't
jail.
even she hasn't married Frankie yet when she goes
No,
to
okay,
the jail.
so not a wealthy businesswoman, but she is taking control of Terra and starting to become a landowner.
And that actually goes into my next story.
She goes into a powerful state where she's right there with Red. I would argue she's level with Red
I
for
disagree.
most of the pursuit.
I disagree.
Go ahead, because this is actually going to go into my larger point that I was going to try to get to.
I disagree in that point only because while she may have the land, he still has the power over her because he has money.
Yeah.
She's about to lose the land.
Right, she's about
sell
to lose
herself to get to the land.
exactly. She cut up curtains to make a dress to go trick him to get the money. Because she knew that he has money. There was nobody else that she could go to aside from him. So at that point, he still has more power over her.
This actually gets to my larger point that I wanted to get into. One, I'm just gonna preface it real quick. At some point before the intermission, she's like, "I'm going out. I have to lie, kill, cheat, or steal." She ended up doing that the next 20 fucking minutes.
Yep.
She kills a guy when he tries to attack her. Granted, but she does kill somebody.
Yeah, she does.
She's and she has to sit there and ponder the fact well, I've done murder. I don't gotta think about that right now. I'm just gonna just keep pushing. Then she steals and lies to get Frank Kennedy.
Yep.
She steals him from her sister
Yep.
by lying to get him, basically.
Yep.
And she cheats. Well, you can say all of that's basically cheating. But so the idea is that I guess the whole thing is that she's actually cheating because this movie, whether you want to recognize it or not, and there's arguments to be made for it, is kind of a proto-feminist perspective. And I'm going to tell you why. I say proto as in it's not quite there, but it's kind of the best we got at this time. Remember, this book was made in 1936.
Okay, I'm still going to argue with you on this, but I'll let you finish your point.
No. Before you are willing to argue with me, hear my point. The idea is that...
Strange. We didn't even argue this much in my film studies class. Oh, me and Ari get the weeds. We get in the fucking weeds when it's time to get the weeds.
If you had Jessica Marshall in here on this, not because she likes to argue, she fucking loves this movie. And so, we're ready to go. Because we understand, and she probably actually read the book, too. So, think about this movie being made and the book being written in 1936 about a time that happened in the 1860s. The book actually itself follows Gerald O'Hara when he first comes over from Ireland. And the whole thing that goes on with him trying to have enough land and power to be able to make it in America. Because he's Irish. And we know that back then, Irish were not great looked at. Irish and Catholic. Especially in the South. And so there's this weird thing that goes on with regards to him not really, he's on the outside basically, and how he's treated and how he finally gets his
proto-feminism. Let's get to that.
I'm getting there. And gets his wife, who
as the movie was,
and gets married to a Southern belle who everyone kind of recognizes and kind of brings him to the fold.
Yep.
And so when they have their daughters are kind of the same way that Bonnie is to Red and Scarlet. They both know their reputations are shit, but she's gonna be better than us. And it's kind of the same thing that happens with Scarlet and her sisters. Okay, yeah, they're accepted by the families, but one of the things that happens is that Ashley doesn't want to marry her. And while we just kind of have this weird glossing way that I never really understood or accepted as far as the movie decided to do it that way, basically the reason he doesn't want to marry her is because she's Catholic. And that she's Irish. She's fun to play with, but she's kind of she's not good enough.
She's dirty.
She's not wifey material.
She's dirty. She's not wifey material. She's not good enough, basically.
Yeah.
And so Scarlet from the get-go in this movie is obviously resentful of her position. And constantly has to be told that she's not good enough, or that she's not strong enough, or that she can't do this because she's a woman. It's not fitting. We don't do this. We're not supposed to. It's not that sort of thing that she's constantly pushed against. And in the meantime, she has other women, mostly who are the ones who are telling her this thing, because most of the people that she interacts with are women who are constantly trying to reassert their position within the patriarchy, basically. She's just she's not really that important. Blah 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 blah. And so she has to do what she has to in order to try to get any sort of standing. If she's constantly waiting for the guys around her, like Ashley, who can't help her with her house, Gerald can't help her with the house, Rhett won't help her with the house, so what does she do? She does the only thing that she can, which is to use her feminine wiles, I use that in very large air quotes, to try and trap, basically, Frank Kennedy into getting the money because she knows her sister will marry him and leave them all to starve.
And takes her a matter of 15 minutes.
It's not even hard. It's not even hard for her.
I mean, especially considering that Frank Kennedy was one of the guys, was one of the beaux, as they like to say.
Yeah.
That was that was hitting on her, flirting with her at the beginning
Everyone's
of the
still
film.
attracted to her because she's still attractive. And
No,
she's still vivacious and
absolutely.
everything.
But because that minor attraction was there, it was easy enough for him to fall for the wiles as well.
Scarlett's here. Sue Ellen's there. Scarlett's more entertaining. Sue Ellen is,
She's pretty. She's cute. She's cute.
Right.
But
also, probably some of it was like thinking that he wouldn't have a chance with Scarlett, so he goes for the second best. And when Charlotte actually shows interest in him, all of a sudden, oh, well, maybe I can marry her after all.
Yep.
And what does she do? That's exactly what she fucking does.
Mm-hmm.
And so the scene where she's going out to the lumber mill is so it hurts my soul a little bit. Not because like they did it badly, but the problem is like everyone's blaming her for it. She wants to be able to go out to her fucking business without anyone accosting her. And the problem is she is going through kind of rough territory. She's armed.
Are you talking about the scene when Rhett shows up when she's getting ready to go into the carriage, or are you talking about
when she gets attacked on the road and
Okay.
Big Sam rescues her?
Okay.
Before she leaves, everyone's like, Rhett's like, you shouldn't go through there. It's dangerous, and people afterwards like, you're the one who killed your husband, like, or like it's your fault that our men have to go protect us, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like they're blaming her for getting attacked.
It's victim blaming, yeah.
Because she chose, as a woman, to have her own carriage that she's driving by herself and having her own business and running it by herself. These are all problems that are her fault because she's a woman.
No, and that's, I'll give you, I'm not arguing with that.
Part of my issue
Not gonna
about
argue with
why
that.
she is seen as being such an unlikable character is because it's very hard to make that character likable. When you are constantly pushing against boundaries the way that she is doing it. You're never going to be able
That's
to make
not
her
why
like
I
you.
don't like her, though. Like, she's an unlikable character for me.
Her stealing Charles Hamilton was absolutely a bitch thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
that was petty.
Well, stealing
That was
Charles
her being petty.
stealing Charles Hamilton, stealing Frank Kennedy.
Frank Kennedy was about her survival. Charles
No,
Hamilton was
yeah, I'll give
petty.
you that.
That
No,
was her
yeah,
being
Charles
petty.
Hamilton was while she was looking at the guy she actually wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also dragging 15 guys around the barbecue to make one guy jealous.
Yes.
But
That was a petty thing to do. She's also 16. But
no,
she's petty.
you have a very good point, is that she does a lot of these things for survival, and we don't like her because of it. But I really just don't like her because of the way she's presented at the beginning of the film before she has to survive.
But that's the point, is that she is a 16-year-old, she's spoiled, she has no reason to worry, she has no cares in the world. And I think about, like, when people talk about some of that, like, right now, when people talk about, like, some of the struggles that are going on in the world right now, because there's plenty of them in this country, in our own towns, and of course in the world. And there are people who are like, I don't want to talk about that right now, that's too hard, like, I don't want to hear about that. That's basically her mentality. Like, I don't have to worry about it, so why should we talk about it? And that's kind of where that's what she lives in. Like, I don't have to worry about it because...
the first, 30 minutes, she's like, we're not talking about the war.
Yeah.
Every time anyone brings it up,
She doesn't
I don't
want
want
to
to
face
talk about
it.
the war.
And then what happens is with Ashley, she pursues him because he basically represents a life or a vision of whatever she thought was going to be. Like, he's her boyhood crush. And that was the other thing they talked about in the book, was also, like, she's one of the few girls who, like, can shoot with them and, like, wrestle with them and do all these, like, other things that are supposed to be more boy things when they're, like, not, like, teenagers or whatever, when, like, they grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, when she becomes a girl, then she can't really do them as much anymore because she's a girl.
Right.
And she's, like, like,
She has to be
that's
raised to be a lady.
Exactly, but she's like, no, that shit was fun. It's bullshit. And that's she's kind of tomboyish, basically, and now she can't be. But this is one of her best friends growing up, and she has a crush on him. And so she wants to be able to grow up and marry her boyhood crush. And then the war happens, and it goes away, and she can't, but she still has him in her life, and she's not willing to let go of that or the dream in general of, like, being the spoiled or, like, protected female person that she was.
Okay, real quick.
Yep.
So Strange says, see, I don't think we argue this much because most of us in that movie thought it was fine. I enjoyed it more as a historical piece than an actual entertainment piece. Still enjoyed it. Racism and misogyny was off-putting.
No, and that's the thing, is racism and misogyny was a thing back then, though. And that's why I absolutely hate... I really like this movie because it doesn't do revisionist history. It is very... Except for one scene, which is
Oh,
one of
it
those
does.
scenes where I'm like, you could cut that shit out because I don't believe it.
Which is?
That's when, was it Ashley?
Oh,
I would free all the slaves.
Yeah, no,
as soon as my
yeah.
dad was going to die, I was going to free them all.
Sure you were.
The
Yeah.
fuck you
Maybe
were.
he was, maybe he wasn't.
Was it Ashley?
It was Ashley.
It was Ashley.
Yeah. The fuck you were.
Yeah, no.
Stop.
You can say that now
Stop
because
it.
you get to say that.
You fought in a war to keep the slaves. But that's also another reason I like this movie. Because when they're talking about going to war, nowadays people be like, oh, well, the Civil War wasn't about slavery. The
Wasn't
first fucking line when they
Wasn't
start
it?
talking about the war here is, they ain't gonna be taking our slaves from us.
Yes, because
Like,
even
damn.
because back in the 1930s, they hadn't got quite to the point where we are right now, almost 100 years later, saying
Denied it.
that, yeah, basically.
They were only what? They were only 50 years.
70. 75 almost.
Well, that was 1860s. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They weren't a whole 1,000 or 100. Almost
There were
100.
some people who were alive when that film came out that
Exactly.
were
So
alive
so
when that
there
movie was
so
made.
there was there's a lot they're a lot closer than we were to that time.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you have some more points to make?
I do actually. Other thing I was going to say
Real
was,
quick, I just wanted to give you on the time. It is currently 10:57
Gotcha.
Central
I
Standard
know. I
Time.
gotta
We
get
are
off.
going.
No, I'm just.
You do
I'm,
not get to yell at me for being
let me
up
say.
late.
Let me talk.
Let
All right, so the point is that with regards to the racism and misogyny, I think for me, it's looking at it in kind of like Schrodinger's movie, basically kind of thing. Like, I'm looking at it as both a historical piece. I'm looking at it also as like just for entertainment purposes. And part of it's because like when I watch movies now, the racism and misogyny can often be off-putting in general because they still exist. People are like, oh well, yeah, well movies back then were so racist. You mean they're not fucking now? They are. And even when they're not obviously racist, because some of them are a lot less than they used to be. Side eyes Michael Bay. Then the problem is that the movie industry within itself still is. It's the movies that are being greenlit. It's the voices that are in the rooms when we're trying to decide what narratives and what voices we're going to allow in front of the camera. Like, that shit's not... Misogyny, we know, is fucking happening. Like, that's really hard to miss.
Real quick, Strange says, as someone who enjoys learning about history, I say keep the lines at it. Keep the lines. I think it means as historical. Show what people were like back then. I hope people look at movies from the early 2000s like, what the fuck were they thinking?
Yeah, no, I get your point. And to your point, there are times where the historical piece and entertainment line blend, and this movie does that. Like, whenever I watch this movie, it is a historical piece for me. Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying the history of it. And then there's certain moments that come where it's pure fucking entertainment. And the best one for that, for me, was it Prissy?
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Yes.
So she comes up and she's like, oh, I can help you deliver this baby.
Oh,
this
God.
ain't a problem. I've delivered so many babies and been around so many baby births that I can birth the baby with my eyes closed.
And then
no problem at all.
And then
the baby starts to come and she's like, so I lied.
I've never delivered a baby before. I don't know what's
And Scarlett O'Hara reaches back and just socks her right in the stairwell, because right at this time the Yankees are getting ready to storm the fucking town. Cannonballs are flying, and all of a sudden she realizes she does not have the help she thought she did.
The doctor is
and
busy
just
dealing with
socks
the
her.
injured.
And I understand the power dynamic of this is a white person hitting a slave, and that is wrong, and all of that is wrong, but I could not stop myself from sitting here and being like, if all these things happened, I'd sock her too.
I know. So my entertainment point with that for this movie, I think there's a couple of them.
Oh, there's a few of them for me.
No, yeah, but
that's
I'm gonna point
just
out
one of them.
the one I wish that I could show people who have not seen this movie at least just because is when Scarlett is sitting next to Frank Kennedy in the carriage and he's asking her about Sue Ellen, and then she begins her lies. And I just have finished arguing about why she did them and why it's okay, not really okay, but why it's understandable and justifiable. But she starts talking and you can see over her shoulder Hattie McDaniel swinging her head around this bitch did not just. And then her face is as the carriage moves out of view, and she's just still staring at her slack jaw bitch.
Not even slack jaw. The expression is she's got that heavy side eye. And the brow is just so thick, bitch.
You did not.
No, not even you did not just bitch. bitch, what is wrong with you? What are you doing?
Oh, I get to it totally over with.
Yeah.
Because she knows.
The
She basically
unmitigated.
half raised both of these girls, right? Both her and her sister that she's now stealing her boat from, but she's not about to say anything against Katie. And I think also like part of the issue is that one of the things I don't really get into when we're going to talk about like whatever see in the film is that Katie's actually closer to all the enslaved people that are in her life than the other people. Like that's probably why we only ever really see her interact with them much. Again, she's the main character.
We don't get much of the other sisters in this movie.
We don't, but she's also the main character, so that's part of it. But they do talk about like she feels like she's on the outside a lot, so she ends up talking to the help basically more than anything, and that's kind of where you have that scene where like she gives Pork her father's watch, and she's like,
he would have wanted you to have
it, like basically.
That shit.
What?
You just disconnected the headset.
Yes, I did.
Which means you probably disconnected the.
Okay, we're back.
It should be good.
Okay, guys, sorry about that. Matt unplugged the thing real quick.
But yeah, so like.
Hold on. We also have to do something else.
What's going on? Are you switching
the controller's dying.
Okay.
So there.
Alright.
Well, I could still hear it. So yeah. Anyway, sorry about that, guys.
But yeah, but then like the idea that she grows up and she's the one who's interacting with them. Obviously, she's not treating them the greatest in front of the camera. We understand that. But she's also the one who probably talks to them the most as a person. But whatever. The point is that like Mammy has now watched these two girls grow up, but she's still closer to Katie, even Scarlett, even though she knows what a little shit she is. But that she also likes her more.
That's
so,
true.
like, she doesn't say anything when she watches this woman steal this other person's, her other daughter's husband, basically.
Oh, you know she gave
But also
her...
because she knows what she's doing.
You know she gave her a talking to when they got back to
I'm sure
Tyra.
she did, but she also knows what she's doing. She's doing this for the survival of Tara.
Oh, no, absolutely.
And she also, Mammy sees that as her home as well, to a large, but it is.
Well, I mean, Mammy sticks with her throughout the entirety of the film.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
so.
Mammy basically grows old into the house where Bonnie's born up until her death.
So there's a lot of facts to this movie that I have issues with, in that this is how they display racism or like African Americans and like white people, misogyny and patriarchy, and there's a lot of issues about it, and not just because of the Civil War period, but because of it being in 1939. Right. And so like, when trying to watch this movie and analyze it, like it's really difficult to try and do that from like with all of that in mind. So the only way that I am able to is to be able to look at it from like, okay, I already know that the white narrative is basically what we're gonna get in film anyway, so go ahead and give it to me. And just knowing that there are some things that obviously that just still are gonna hold up no matter what. But I'm gonna do my best to like still review this as well as I can from a historical perspective, as well as, you know, from not just historical in terms of like 1939 and 1865, but in terms of film, as well. Some of the things that we still utilize, some of the things we still look at that we know still work because they were doing it then, and part of it was like, this is also the advent of technology with color and blah 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 blah. And so like then also there's the other part of it, which is just, you gotta just recognize it for what it is. Like, there are things about it that it's gonna get harder and harder for me to watch as I continue to watch it and look into it and think about it. But so far I've still enjoyed the film for what it is. And the reason why, the last thing I'll point is, the reason why I can't say that Clark Gable carries the film, while he is a large and fantastic and wonderful part, it does take away from the work that Vivien Leigh is doing when she is on the screen the majority of the time. And so I enjoy their chemistry, I enjoy their work together, because we almost only ever see him on screen when she is on screen. And so, like, those scenes together are fan-fucking-tastic.
I agree.
His scenes when he has by himself, especially with, like, the group of men at the earlier part or whatever, those are interesting and showing him carrying his own or whatever. But I also enjoy the scenes that she has with Mammy. I enjoy the character, like, her, like, you know, her acting chops with, like, you know, crying and, like, showing the emotion and so forth and so on. And some of that, the acting school might be dated to a certain extent, just because this is 1939 versus 2024, and like the way people talked back then. But that doesn't really bother me that much, especially when I hold that into perspective. And so, yeah, that's that's kind of where I'm at with it.
No, yeah, and again, you have a lot of moments in here that are just really good. And I do want to apologize, and I will back off of the Clark Gable carried this film.
As will I.
There's a certain scene when Clark comes back from London, and Scarlett O'Hara is running down, and she's very happy to see them both.
Mm-hmm. She has a smile on her face, and then...
And it looks like everything's going to be fine. And then after Bonnie leaves...
He bows to her.
And her smile goes from, oh, I'm so happy you're home and everything, to right back into character.
Yeah.
Of, you think you're going to just get away with that? And she has this whole eyebrow raised, stern, look to her where it's like, oh, this shit ain't over yet. And Cable does the same thing throughout, but her facial emotions and going back and forth and the chameleon that is Scarlett O'Hara, you have a very good point, and she should be recognized and praised for her work.
Yeah.
Because it's so fucking subtle.
Yes.
It has to be because she's a woman.
Yes.
You can't notice it. If you notice it, you'll be burned at the stake, or hung, or arrested, or whatever.
Ostracized was just as bad. And ostracized, your family will also be ostracized.
Yeah. So you have to be subtle with it, and she does a fantastic.
And I want to give a quick shout out to the actress that played Melanie.
God, I know her name, but I can't remember what it is.
Because, my God, the performance is great, and the character is just so likable, but she does such a good job of being that supporting character of like lifting up the other characters' roles in any way that she plays. It's just I really enjoy it.
I have something. I'm glad you brought that up last. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay.
And that part of it was Melanie's character. I think is interesting because, and I didn't used to like her Melanie's character. I used to think I was bored by her, but then I started like looking at it better and like not better, but think deeper and realized that part of it is that the reason why she likes Scarlett is because she knows Scarlett is bucking the feminine trends, right? Mm-hmm. She is constantly fighting against them, and the other women in their cohort are all like aghast because like, how can you possibly do that? It's so expect to be a suitable lady for a husband and all that other stuff. And Melanie wants to be that brave. She wants to be able to step out and be able to be like, do the things that Scarlett does, and she like bucks these trends or whatever. Like, she recognizes it for bullshit as well, but she isn't like strong enough, or she's afraid, or she doesn't have enough confidence in herself to do so.
She knows her place,
but she also knows how to lie, which is interesting.
She is a great wing woman.
She is fantastic. She's one of the most honest people you meet in this whole fucking movie.
Yes.
But she is also one of the best liars.
She is so genuine.
Awesome. Like, especially when you think about it, because like that's the whole point of her character.
What you really see in the scene of when Asher gets shot.
Yeah.
Like, the first time I watched it through, I saw her say to Scarlett, "Don't say anything. I'll do the talking."
Yeah.
And I took it very much as, listen, we can't get into this whole you pining over Asher thing right now. It's a little more serious situation. Let me try to navigate this. Whereas once that happened, or once I watched it this time, it was more of, oh, you're taking ownership of this situation. You're taking control of this situation. Yes. And you know exactly what you're gonna do.
Well, not just that, she knows what's going on.
Yeah.
She knows what's going on.
Scarlett's in the dark throughout that entire scene.
She doesn't know that they're gonna show up drunk. Quote unquote.
Well, not only that, she doesn't know that Frank and everyone else went to go burn down.
Well, she might have had an idea about that, but she didn't know what was gonna happen when they got back.
Well, no, but still, like, Melanie knew. And she said,
I mean, Frank. So Melanie knew all that.
Yeah. Melanie knew. She knew what was going on, and she basically took. She, like you said, she took control of the situation. Don't nobody say shit. I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like she is. I don't know. It's one of those. You have those people in your life, or like also in like TV, where there's kind of like everyone revolves around Melanie to a certain extent in Atlanta without realizing it. Like, and it's because she is so good. So when she says something's okay, then we're gonna do it. Like, so when she takes Bella Watling's money, or when she says like the auction, whatever is okay, everyone's like, oh, well, if she said it's cool, then we're good. And she's kind of like this weird, like almost like light side character compared to.
Well, she's the conscience.
Well, she is the conscience,
And
but
she-
in terms of like compared to Scarlet, there's like a yin and yang. She's like the light side versus the dark side, which Scarlet obviously
Well, again,
represents.
and in that, and the thing with the thing about that time is, with any time, specifically more so that time, because everybody knows everybody, it is your reputation carries you everywhere you go, especially in a small town. So when everybody knows your business and everybody knows how you are, that's going to determine how well other people are going to trust you.
Right, but that's also part of it is that, and certainly some of that comes with like prestige or whatever, the family, etc. But some of that also comes with definitely reputation and like people's interactions with you. And there's something about Melanie's character that is very much not necessarily take charge, but people like lean, like they. And Rhett Butler does the same thing, right? Like he ends up like trusting her so much, and he has every reason to. There's nothing that ever happens where she's very trustworthy, and that may be enough for the reason why she meets all those requirements that we expect for a woman to be proper and prim or whatever in the 19th century. And then you have Scarlet, who has to fake all of that. Right, so Melanie is super trustworthy, and Scarlet is not.
Yeah.
Now we know why Scarlet is, and some of that is some of a choice to a certain extent. She's doing her survival, but she's also kind of a bitch. But like at the same time, like she has not found her way to be herself and be respected for it. So she has to lie about everything, and that's kind of interesting because they're two similar characters in that they control the environments in which they live in, or like it seems like the world kind of revolves around them in different ways. And then when they're together, Melanie automatically kind of defers to Scarlet, except for in the situation what happened when with the shootout or whatever. In which case, when Scarlet did not know what was going on, then Melanie became in charge, as well as everyone in that room more trusted Melanie anyway.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah. It's a classic film.
Very much so.
It's kind of timeless. A lot of the problematic stuff is going to be there, but if you can look at it through the lens of historical, you're going to enjoy this movie. It's really well done. It's really well paced. It's really well built to the finale. And it's one of the best executed endings in a drama piece, anyway, of all time.
I think that it is definitely worth a watch.
Mhm.
I understand that people cannot watch it repeatedly if that is
No.
too difficult.
Yeah, no, this is
not only for the time, but time length, but also for some of the content in it. But in general, I think it's absolutely still worth a watch because I think there is some enjoyment to be had from it.
This is definitely one of those once in a while watches, once in a great while, if anything, especially if you're not a big film buff or movie buff for that matter. I mean, I consider myself somewhere middling because I have never seen this movie. I've heard of this movie multiple times, never watched it. This is my first.
And there have been references to this movie.
Yeah, there have been
like,
references, but this is my
throughout
first.
pop
This is my
culture.
first time watching it, and for me, I'm fine if I don't watch it again. If I do, it would probably be like if somebody put it on, or maybe if I don't know if I was on a date or something, and it was at the movies. Something like that. But other than that, okay, so I guess that would kind of lead into own it, stream it / rent it.
Yeah.
Yeah, own it, rent it / stream it. I think that would be the
Was there other
no, because it was own it, rent it,
or
stream it.
Yeah.
I'm just putting rent
Oh,
it,
okay.
stream it as
Well, because stream it would be free.
Yeah. Find it
Renting, if
free
you're-
and wait till it's free.
okay.
Renting, just go watch it at least
All right,
once.
so
look
fine.
at
Then
paper.
own it, rent it, stream it.
Yeah.
Let's start with you because this is your
it.
pick.
I actually do own it.
Okay,
So
Matt.
I understand to own it because if you're a film connoisseur, it's kind of a must-have.
Mhm.
And honestly, I believe this is one of those movies. Like, if I was to create a short list of movies you absolutely have to watch before you die, this would be on it.
granted, I only pay like $7 for it, but it's fine.
But I would still say stream it because after you stream it, you'll know whether you want to buy it or not.
Yeah.
Mm.
So wait for it to be free. It's pretty readily available nowadays. Just watch it and see if it's something you want to keep or not.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you
Because
on
it's 4 hours.
almost 4. I'm going to agree with you on that case, Matt. It's definitely a need to. It's a need to watch at least once in your life.
Yeah.
So stream it if it's available. Stream it if it's available. If not, rent it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's worth the rent. Whatever
It's worth the $4 rent.
It's worth the rent.
Yeah, I think I'm going to change mine to rent it because, like, while I may choose to own it, and I paid $7, I think, from like Walmart bin or $5, whatever it was,
and that's
which
fine.
is $1 up for what it would cost to rent it. So if I'm going to rent it anyway, then like I may as well just pay for it.
Well, here's the thing.
But like I would say rent it because I think it's worth paying the $4 at the very least if you're only going to watch it once.
I think we're going to settle
rather
on
than
rent.
like waiting for it to be free.
Here's what I want to say, because recently there has been a thing with digital media being removed.
Oh my god!
From streaming services,
yes.
or just from the internet.
Yes.
To where if you purchase it digitally, you technically don't own it.
Yeah.
It's like you're technically you're leasing it.
Yeah.
So that means you don't have it. So for example, this is what comes to mind. So if anybody owns a PlayStation 4 or earlier, if you bought anything off of the PS, if you bought any movies off the PS store, then good for you. You may still have them.
Yeah.
But you can't. But at some point you couldn't buy movies off the PS store anymore. And essentially, what's happening is a lot of these movie companies are now just kind of taking their properties or taking their films off of digital media, so you won't be able to find them anymore.
Yeah, Dogma is the big one, and that's not because they're taking it off of it. It's because of some beef between, which is legitimate, between Kevin Smith and Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Because Harvey Weinstein bankrolled the film, and in order for Kevin Smith to get property rights for it or whatever, he has to pay like some obscene amount of money or whatever. He's like, no, I'm not fucking doing it. And so he actually has actively encouraged people to go and like pirate it, basically. Yeah. But you can't really find it online anywhere streaming. You have to find physical copies.
Yeah. So my thing is, if you are a movie buff, like, or if you genuinely enjoy the media of film, and I'm not just saying if you like movies. No, if you like film, studying film and appreciating the media that it is, then I do recommend owning it. However, if you like watching movies and if you enjoy film to an extent, like me, for example, because I'm not a big film buff, but I am like slowly dipping my toe into that media and trying to understand and understanding the subject matter of it all, then stream it and or rent it.
Yeah.
Watch it. I definitely recommend watch it once in your life to determine whether or not you like it. Personally, for me, I enjoyed it. I was genuinely surprised that I enjoyed this movie or this film. Excuse me.
And that's actually the same. Sorry.
All I really wanted to just kind of go. I was considering that I was forewarned last week. Get here early. This is a 3-hour movie, 3-hour plus movie. I was like, oh shit, and it's a classic. So I'm like, I was worried ahead of time that
it's gonna be a slog.
Exactly, but no, I genuinely, like, as soon as the movie starts, like, the opening credits and the crawl. But you kind of get into it, and then as soon as you meet Scarlett, and you find out what kind of a messy bitch she is. You're like, oh, there's drama.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
So I think we all just firmly landed on a consensus of rent it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Own it if you want. Frankly, we don't give a damn.
We never do.
Come on! Come on! That was awesome. That did not deserve a facepalm. That deserved a laugh and a high five. That's what that is.
From your side chick. Okay.
Side chick. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
With that being said, does anybody else have anything else?
I think we are at out of 10.
Oh, out of 10. Okay,
so I'll start this one.
Okay, rank it.
Timeless classic, one of the greatest of all time, iconic line. Got to give it a 9 out of 10, out of respect, if nothing else.
Respect.
Not to mention it deserves it.
Okay. Juice?
I will agree. I know I gave Bullet Train at 8.25. It is fine, but no, this is definitely one of one of those that is definitely up there. Excuse me. I am also gonna give it a 9.
I am also gonna give it actually a 9.
Yeah. Oh wow, consensus.
9 all around.
Yeah. I want to take off more points because of the.
But it's real. That's what happened.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean I have to necessarily show it or like show it in the way that we're like
That's
it's okay because like blah 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 blah.
I mean,
No, that's fair.
No.
So I'm trying to decide like going forward when I have films where like they do that, especially now, where like that's one of the big issues I have with the Batman that I will be happy to discuss when we watch that because I'm sure you guys are fucking watching.
It's not on my list.
No, you have specifically said to not have you watch that movie anymore, so I didn't put it on my list.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'll put it on my list though, so we can fucking discuss it. You can try to explain how a 45-second scene ruins the entire movie.
Oh, sure, I'd be happy to. But no. The point is
You're
that
wrong.
that's fine.
Do so because we need to have that discussion.
We will. But yeah.
You're gonna
no,
go see
like,
the second one with me, right?
yes,
I am.
Thank you.
Because I'm not
We're
seeing
seeing.
it with them.
We're gonna see Joker Folie à Deux as well, right? Maybe not.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it off stream.
So at some point, basically, in my mind, I'm gonna probably start having this like hedging of like, okay, how much am I willing to like let you guys go with the perpetuation of the rape culture thing? Like,
Yeah.
how long am I gonna let you guys get away with that? And it's probably gonna be circa 1997, 2003, maybe somewhere around that time.
Post American Pie.
Yeah. And so, like, after that, like, then you guys will start having a ding for it, and then before that, like, okay, I might let you get away with this, but probably it's going to start sliding really heavily around the 70s because they get really weird with it. So
Yeah, no, and there's definitely some movies where it's like, oh, I'll never be able to watch this again because of the way
Saturday Night Fever
society has
is
moved.
exactly that reason.
I know there's ones for me, but I can't just think of them right now. But, so that being said, we've given our scores. We've done our rent stream. We've had our discussions. So that means
It is now time.
it is now time to figure out what we're going to be watching next week.
And it is Matt's turn this week. So I was thinking. So I wanted to.
Which is why I like that you're in the middle here, actually.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of glad because we sandwich each other. And we get to follow Gone with the Wind with some awesome, stupid
So
Jerry
we-
Bruckheimer goodness.
So before we do that, I wanted to
Yeah.
interject and just kind of ask if we wanted to go with this format going forward, simply because I know we said we might do like a spin the bottle type of thing, or
Oh, that was going to be for the first one.
Okay.
As a joke, because it's Side Chick Wednesday.
Well, no, but I also figured that this is a good way to kind of break up the choices because Ariane had mentioned last week that our choices can tend to be somewhat similar, or at least our taste in movies. So I think it's a really good way to break that up as well.
All right, so after my
Although
choice...
technically after you, it's me. So
Yeah.
So after my choice, what we could do is we could spin. Because everyone's had a round now. And then we could decide who's going to start after that. Or do you just want to keep going round and round?
We just go round and round right now. If we
That's
have a
fine.
problem, we can talk about it. But I think right now, I think we're fine.
Strange also gave it an 8.5.
Yeah, that was gonna probably be like my. I was like, I'm hovering closer to 8.5.
Which is respectable.
No, it is.
Within a half a point, I mean, there's no reason to really argue with that.
No, yeah. So
Alright, so, are we ready?
Wheel of Morality, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn.
I was trying to think what that line was. Maybe like
So,
wheel of something.
I'm getting ready to spin it. I will let you know that I have actually taken Infested off of my list.
Thank God.
Because I see it as a horror movie. And we have made a discussion and a decision that we will watch horror movies in October.
For the most part, yes.
But we're going to watch Infested. It's going to be one of those, I'm not even spinning the wheel, I want to watch this movie.
No, you're spinning the wheel. That's how it works.
But I want to watch that movie.
That's nice. I want to watch.
I am choosing a foreign film.
About
You
spiders.
should be happy with that.
About spiders. Why?
Because it's spiders.
Anyway,
I don't understand
Anyway,
anything.
all right. Are we ready?
That's
Can
it.
I get that chant again, Ruth?
Wheel of Morality, turn. Tell us the lesson that we should learn. And next week's choice is
Mine doesn't have sound.
because yours was on. You probably want silent.
Oh, maybe.
Oh boy.
No, what? Oh my God, what?
What is it, Matt?
Whoa!
So Matt had this look on
No
his face.
Oh
way!
God, help us all.
No way!
What the fuck is it?
Next week, we will be watching and reviewing another cinematic masterpiece in Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century, the original Disney movie. Yes!
Christ, why?
If you haven't seen it, it is called Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century.
Let's go.
I literally put it on here. You know, you watch these movies as a kid, and you have your memories of them.
Yes.
And sometimes you just want to go back and see if it was as good as you remember it, or if it's god awful. This is one of those.
Spoiler alert! It's god awful.
I have a feeling it's god awful.
It probably will be. It's a Disney
But
Channel.
god damn it, does it have a song?
If
Zoom,
Disney's not putting up
zoom,
money into
zoom.
making it an actual full fucking movie.
Finally, a 10 out of 10 movie.
Thank you. So, with that being said, please catch us next week as we go zoom, zoom, zoom to make my heart go boom, boom,
boom,
my supernova girl. Thank you for joining us.
Oh my god, I can't believe that happened.
We will be back next week for No Collar Entertainment.
This Matt.
Before we just sign out, just
God
wanted
damn.
to say real quick, we will
Him
probably
and
be doing
Dorothy.
this. If we could, I would say not Thursday.
What?
I was trying to offer Thursday. I didn't
Offer
I was trying
Thursday for what?
to do this one.
Do this one.
Just because I'm gonna be done with my project the end of the week or the middle of next week.
It's a short movie. You'll be fine.
That's fine. Okay. That's
What,
fine.
you want to sit here and have your full attention on the original Disney movie, Xenon Girl?
You're right. Never mind. Let's just make it on Wednesday. It's fine.
I mean, she's still gonna pay attention to it.
Oh, and she's still going to rip it apart.
Well, also because I want to be drunk for this sort of experience, and I have to work really the next morning, so I'd rather do it on a day when I have to work 8 hours instead of 12.
With that being said, we will be back next week with the original Disney movie, Xenon Girl of the 21st Century. For No Collar Entertainment, this is Matt.
This is Ariane.
And this is Juice.
We're out.
Bye.
Peace.